My name is Josh Jenkins. This is my FTT 221, the ring lapping class. This is week 3, and today is October the 4th, 2023. Before we get started, before we do anything else, the first thing I want to do is validate that there is no ammo on my work area and that this weapon is clear. So to clear this weapon, what we're going to do is we're going to point it in a safe direction. We're going to pull the charging handle back. We're going to lock our charging handle back. Okay. Then we're going to do a visual and physical inspection of the weapon to validate that there is no ammo in there, and there is not. So we're going to send the bolt forward, and then again, pointing in a safe direction, we're going to pull the trigger to drop the striker. Now this weapon has been cleared, and we're going to move on to the next step. For this first part, what we're going to do is we're going to just kind of go over the parts that we have in this kit. And to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to start, I guess, we'll start with just what we got. So the star of the show is going to be the actual lapping kit itself. And what we have here is we have the lapping bar, which also has the associated handles for it, so you can push down. So when you get the lapping compound with the grid on it, let's get that back into focus, with the lapping compound and the grid on it, you can push it back and forth. So we've got that. We've got our alignment pins right here. So these are going to sit, he's got these two little points on them, and they're going to sit in between the rings so you can get a pretty good alignment on it. And then we've got our lapping compound here, which I've seen some videos. I've seen a couple people do this in a couple different ways. This guy right here, you know, Talon, he's been absolutely amazing. He's helped me with a lot of the videos that I've seen. You know, he's absolutely made it possible to get as far as I have. So thanks for all the help so far. So not going to quite do what he did in his video. I'm going to try something a little different. I'm going to use this, but I'm going to dilute it down with a little bit of something in a second to see if I can get it a little more viscous. But that's what we'll do here. Let's see if we can get her back in focus real quick. Come on, get back in focus. There we go. So we've got that. So that's what's in this, and this is the Wheeler. This is the Wheeler lapping kit from the school. Also, what we got from the school is we've got rings. We got 2 sets of rings. We got the Hunter. We got the high mount rings right here, which come in this little pack. And then we got some no names that didn't come in anything, but I think we'll be using those here for that. And like I said, I've already put them in here, and they've got their little bits and bobs. And then the other thing we're going to use for this, we're going to use a level. So I've already got my level out here. The other thing that came in the kit was this West Hunter 1x30 scope. So I haven't really played with it yet. I mean, the only thing I've done is put this on here. But yeah, that's what we'll be setting into the rings. So that's what came in the kit, and that's what we're going to be working with here in a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset this real quick, and then we'll come back. Alright, so now that we've got everything reset, what we're going to do now is we're going to get this into our vise, which I've already kind of done right here. And we're also going to make sure that it's level, because making sure it's level is one of the most important parts of this, because if it's not level to begin with, then it's going to be pretty bad overall. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our level, and we're going to set it right up there. And I think you might be able to see that. If you can't, let's just bring it over here. Get my bubble and show that we are level right there. We are level right there. And we are level right there. And I also want to show this angle right here as well to show that we are level right there. Okay, let's get her back in focus. Alright, so now that we've got this in our vise, I've also went ahead and I've, you know, taken my weapon and I've put the rings on there, and I've set the rings up in such a way that this makes sense for me and my height. So these little yellow pieces of tape right here are where the bottom rings are going to sit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that these are set up in a way that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those bottom rings and I'm going to get them set up. So give me 1 second and we'll get that reset. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our bottom rings, okay, and we're going to make sure these little nubs right here are set correctly. And the way I had them set up was the little pieces of tape were the back, so I'm going to make sure that that's set right there. I'm going to put this one right here, and then we're going to tighten those down, just hand tighten, right? get those hand tightened down. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab a little piece of tape for both of them. Because what I want to do for both of these, actually, you know what? I already did this. I was smart. I was a smarty beforehand. So what I've got is I'm going to take these top pieces here, and we're going to go boom. All right. So for these top pieces, what I want to do, as you can see, I've got them written in such a way that this is going to be the front one, this is going to be back, and then that's how they're facing forward. Because that's very important when you're setting these up, that you want the alignment pins. You want those facing in the exact same direction. You want these rings in the same place as well. So I'm going to take my alignment pins, which are these real heavy pieces right here. We're going to set them right there. Make sure they don't fall off. And I don't know if you can see that right there. They're pretty aligned right there, but you know, the point of this is to align everything and make sure that we do the lapping correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to make sure we're going to get these set up right here. And let's get these set up, and then I'm going to grab the screws, the hex nuts for this, and we'll be right back. All right, got the hex nuts there. They were in here. They were hiding from me. So what we're going to do is we're just going to put these in here real quick, and I'll fast forward through a lot of this. All right, now that I've got them all in place, I'm going to do a quick little hand tighten of all these with a little Allen wrench that was provided by the school. All right, so this is the back side done. It's still got a little play in it, but again, what we're gonna do is we're gonna make sure these are adjusted correctly, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna do what I was talking about earlier with my lapping solution. So let's do that. Let's get this last one tightened down. Then I'm gonna pull out my my torque screwdriver. All right, so now I've got those I said hand tightened, but those are just lightly tightened down. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna tighten these little nubs down right here. I don't know exactly what these are because these were the no-name brands. There's not like specified like torquing down, and if I were to use my my wrench over here, that would be in foot-pounds, not necessarily inch-pounds. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cheat a little bit, not necessarily cheat, but I'm just gonna take what we have for these high view rings, or these high mount rings, and that's anywhere between 20 and 30, so I'm going to just call it 15. So, and I'm going to kind of, you know, little brute strength this down.
I went ooga booga caveman brain.
Right here. That, my friends, is what happens. That right there is what happens when you put too much tension on it. So you can get these back on there. I don't know if you can see that, but I sheared that pin right off. That's what happens when you put too much pressure on that. That is insane. So now we got ourselves another issue, so bear with me. All right, so got that fixed. So just want to show you that real quick, just because I like to operate in the light. That's one of the normal little turn down pins for the mount right there. That's what it should look like. What you saw when it popped off and I edged shear into that joker, that's what happened right there when it sheared off. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and taken those off, and I went for the high mount ones from Weaver that we've got, and I've got the ones right here, and these actually have got screws on them so I can actually use my little driver right here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tighten those down using what they say, and I'm gonna actually change this bit out real quick, and I'll be right back. All right, so I'm back. So I've got this set to just under 15 torque pounds on here. So I've got one more shot on this. You know, as Maui would say, what is the lesson? What is the takeaway?
What's the lesson? What is the takeaway? Don't mess with Maui when he's on a breakaway.
Let's not torque that down that hard again. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this gently, and we're going to torque this down until it stops. So fingers crossed on that one. Let me put these right in here. And I'm going to tune that down just a little bit more. I don't want to do that again. And you heard that click. That was important. So these are pretty safe right now, and those are pretty solid. So I've got those torqued down. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to put in this bit, which is going to torque these down up here. And I'm going to set that back up to, let's call that 15. Got that torqued back up to 15. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to screw these in a diagonal pattern. Imagine if you're changing a tire and you're putting the lug nuts back on, you do it in a diagonal pattern. That's what I'm going to do here. So start here and let's go. Okay, so now I've got those tightened down. As you can see, it's pretty close, But like I said, for the purposes of this class, we're going to lap these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all this back off, I'm going to reset, and then we're going to lap it. I mentioned earlier that the lapping compound that we got, from Wheeler, the Wheeler compound right here, it's pretty thick and it's almost like clay. So what I did was I did a little research. Again, whether this works or not, we're about to find out. What I did was I took a little bit of that out and I put it in just a Gatorade cap. And then I took some just standard WD-40 and I mixed it in there, and I've got this little bit more viscous paste. I think that's going to work because, again, from the research I did, I don't think this is going to affect how it works. What it's going to do is it's going to just allow it to move a little better. So I mean, instead of having to go buy like the new compound, this will be what I use. So we're going to test this out. If this doesn't work, then you're going to see me doing something different. So let me get reset, get some gloves on, because I do not want this crap on my skin. So give me a minute and we'll get reset. All right, got my gloves on because that's important. So what we're going to do is we're going to take my Frankenstein lapping compound that's been mixed with the WD-40. We're going to put it a little bit on here. We're going to put the screws back on. We're going to put the bar that we have in there, and we're going to start lapping it. The book says on page 34 that this needs to be about 90%. So 90% of the anodization needs to be taken off of these rings. So we're going to go for that. So we'll see, and we'll go from there. Let's fast forward it. So we're going to take some of this. We're just put it in the rings. All right. So now I'm just going to make sure that these are all nice and coated. And I think that's got enough the proper viscosity, so we'll give that a shot and see what happens. So we'll go ahead and put our bar back in here. So we'll go ahead and move this right here. So we can put our bar in here. We'll set that down right there, and then we will make sure that the arrows are pointing in the correct direction. There they are, and we'll get everything screwed back in. Alright, now that I've got this tight, you saw it on the other one where I went ahead and backed it off just a little bit, so I'm going to do that again. And now I've got enough play in this. What I think I can do is we can go ahead and just back this off just a little bit more, and we're going to go ahead and just pull this back and forth and then side to side. So go ahead and do that. Alright, now that we're done with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that off and we're going to see what it looks like underneath. Alright, so good news, as you can see, I think, hold on, we've got some good contact here in the bottom rings. The top rings look like there's something stuck in there. I'm not 100% sure what that is, but I'm going to clean that up a little bit and then I'm going to go again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get those cleaned up and then we'll relapse this. We're going to put some more relapping compound on it and we're going to go at it again. Alright, so now that I've got that done, what I'm going to do is I went ahead and cleaned that up. And I found there's this little black thing that was in there. I'm not really sure what that was, but anyway, I've got that cleaned up. So I've got the compound back on there, as you can see, on both sides. So I'm going to put the hex nuts back down, and I'm going to go back to lapping some more. So we'll go ahead and speed it up and stop if there's any problems. One other thing that I did want to mention is this paste is very abrasive, so I can actually feel it on my fingers here, and I can feel it on the screwdriver. So I'm going to clean up all my equipment pretty decently after this is all said and done. All right, so now we're going to do we're going to go back and forth, so just make sure we do a little test. So it's a little tight, so let's back off everywhere a little bit. There we go. So now I've got that backed off, so we're going to keep going. Alright, so now we're done with that. We're going to take it off and check again. And this is just a rinse, wash, and repeat process. It's looking actually pretty good, so I mean, we'll see what the other ones look like, but that's what the first one that we got off looks like. So that's probably about 60% right there. All right, so set these going this way, and then we'll set, where's my other one? There, and set it going that way. So that's what they're looking like. Oh, let's get that back in focus. So that's what they're looking like. You can see that those are getting pretty good, and these right here are still, actually, you know, let's tilt that down a little bit. You can see that the bottom rings still need a little bit of work. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna reset it again, and we're gonna do a little bit more of that, and we'll come right back. All right, so got the lapping cleaned off. I'm going to put in another. This will be the third time I've done it. And what we'll do is, you saw it was about 40 to 50% last time, so we're going to do it one more time. We're going to get these back on, and hopefully this will be closer to that 80-90% that the book calls for. So we'll go from there. All right, so now we're going to go back and forth like we were. All right, so we're going to take this apart real quick, and we're going to see what it looks like. Get this nice and cleaned off real quick. And you can see how abrasive it is across there. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a mostly clean rag here. Close this up. And that's looking pretty good right there. See what the bottoms look like. Little WD-40, funny enough. All right, I don't know. I think you can see those. Let me grab this one right here and this one going that way. I think that's what we're looking for there. That's about that 80 to 90%. I think that's going to be good. So what we're going to do next, we're going to finish getting these cleaned up. We want to clean up around here, get this reset. We're going to put the scope on here, and we're going to get that scope sight in. So let me get reset, and we'll do that next. All right. Now that we've got this back in place, what I want to do is I want to show that this is both level and that these pins are showing that this has been lapped correctly. So as you can see, we've got a level back here. Put it up here. We'll show, if we can get that pretty flat, we'll show level right there. And then we will show level best we can right there. Okay, so now I got that level, and these are all tightened down. What we're going to do is we're going to take these off. And now that we've got these alignment pins in there, we're going to take these off. We're going to put the scope in there, and we're going to get that scope zeroed in, because again, why do all this if we're not going to zero in a scope? So we'll do that, and then the next thing you'll see me doing is getting this, getting the scope on here. All right, so now that we've got part of this done, what we want to do is we're going to put these rings back on here, and then we're going to make sure this is level. So to start off, we're just going to put the rings on here, and then we're going to make sure everything's level before we get it super tightened down. Right now, if you look, I've got it level that way, and I've got it leveled that way. So what we're going to do is we're going to get these rings back on real quick, and we're going to really get these tightened down, and then we're going to make sure it's level, and then we're going to sight this in. So let's speed that up. All right, so this is where we're going to make sure that we have this at that 15-pound torque. So let's get these down first, most of the way there, so we can have a little bit more play in it. And again, like every time before, crossing, like we're putting in lug nuts. All right, so now I want to show this again. So that we have, this is after we've got everything hand tightened down. We've got a level right there, and we've got level right there. So now we're gonna crank this down till we get the till we get it to click. Again, in that same pattern. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to sight this in. I'm going to be using a, where is it? I'm going to be using my laser bore sight right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to get this bad boy plugged in, ready to go. And we'll get her sighted in at about 10 yards. So come back to that, we'll get set up, and I'll show you what we're doing. All right, for this last part, we're going to sight in our barrel. So we're going to use a laser bore scope. But first, we want to make sure that everything's level. So we're going to come over here. We're going to see that we're a little off bubble. So we're going to aim that down just a little bit. Tighten that up over here. We're going to make sure we're level on this side. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take a laser bore scope. It's literally just a 223 sized round. It's got a laser in the front of it. We're going to turn that on. We're going to set it into the barrel, like so. We're going to re-level this real quick. But first, before we do that, we're going to send the bolt forward so we can lock that in so we don't lose our laser. And then we're going to re-level. All right, so now that we got that, let's just show it again. We are level here, and we are level there. What we're going to do is we're going to show that our laser is pointing down that way. You can see our laser pointing down that way. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go into our reticle here, and we're going to sight that in. Actually, I'll show you down here. Maybe you can see this, maybe you can't. So we'll see where our reticle is, and we will adjust from there. So it is mostly on target at the moment. Let's back her up. It is mostly on target, but we're going to back it up and we're going to get this squared away. So I apologize for the shaky cam, but to do that, we're going to simply pull up on these little notches right here after we Alright, now that I've got these out, as far as they're going to go, we're going to look down the scope and we're going to get the reticle on the duct. So, alright, if you look down this reticle again, let's see if we can back her up. I think you can almost make out that it is right there in the dead center.
So that was a fun little project. As you can see, had a little bit of trouble here and there doing a few things, specifically getting those little knobs for the mounts on there. Obviously that one got busted, so had to change and use the ones from the other mounting system. Luckily, they fit pretty well, so that wasn't too bad of a process. Clearly needed to, understand what the tensioning was there and needed to understand that a little better. Full disclosure, I did play with that a little bit beforehand just to make sure that it was going to work. Did it twice and the third time it broke. So it's going to be fun to write up the paper that's associated with this particular lab. I'm going to, write up that, obviously, understanding the torque value and what pressure needs to be is going to be one of the big things. The other thing was that lapping, the lapping mixture I did with the WD-40 and the lapping compound. It worked okay. There was nothing noticeably different because the second and third times I just used, I don't know if you saw it, the cap wasn't actually there. The second and third times I actually just went ahead and used the lapping compound as it was out of there. So, again, there was no appreciable difference between the two. So, if I had to do it over again, I probably would just use the lapping compound as opposed to lapping and the WD-40. But like I said, fun project, learned some things, really look forward to writing the paper, and thanks for watching.